Dumelang, Dumelang, Dumelang to all the BaTswana and to all the BaNtus in South Africa, in Africa, and in the diaspora. Dumelang to all the 12 tribes of Israel. I am starting off with the slide whose content I hope you never take for granted, because what is reflected therein is the path towards showing your love to the Most High, Yahweh, Modimo wa ga Abrahama, Isaka, and Jacob. Now, at Mount Sinai in the Old Testament, you read that the children of Israel received the laws from the Most High. And these laws are covered in the first 5 books of the law, which is Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. Now, these particular commandments and particular laws, statutes, and commandments, they were given to us so that we can be able to keep them and live by them. And if you look at Deuteronomy 6, from verse 6 to 7, the Most High instructs us, these commandments that I give to you today are to be in your hearts. We need to impress them upon our children. We need to talk about them all the time, when we sit at home and when we walk around the road, when we lie down and when we get up. So these laws have been given to us. And if you recall my previous slides, I've said, what does it mean to be a BaTswana? What does it mean to be a BaNtu? What does it mean to be beyond the rivers of Kush? It means that the laws were actually given to you so that you can keep them, so that you can teach your children about them. Now, who received these? If you look at the name of the person who received these, it's our forefather. Now, you can go to your Setswana Bible and look at who received these. In the English Bible, it will say Moses. But in the Setswana Bible, it will tell you that it is Moshe. Now, if you go to 84871 of the Strong's Concordance, Hebrew for Moshe is the same. Moshe in Hebrew, Moshe in Setswana. That is why, for me, this is a demonstration that Hebrew and Setswana are alike. Setswana is the old ancient form of Hebrew that has been corrupted. But that's a debate and a discussion for another day. But the point that I'm making with this particular slide is that our forefather Moshe, nobody else, received these particular laws as given to him by the Most High so that he can be able to give them to us. Now, the laws that have been given to us for purposes of this particular video that we're going to focus on are the 2 laws that the son of Yahweh, Mupulusi, who died for us in the cross so that we can be saved. The disciples asked him the question in Matthew 22, Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law? And the son of Yahweh, Yeshaya Mupulusi, responded and said, Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This, he said, is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it, to love your neighbor as you love yourself. In conclusion, he says, all the law and the prophets hang on these 2 commandments. Now, you need to be very careful about how you read this particular precept or these precepts as given by the son of Yahweh. These particular two laws as given to you are not a replacement of the law as per the Old Testament in the first 5 books that I've shared with you. Now, the one that I think is the focus of this particular video is the one of love your neighbor as you love yourself. Now, in the reawakening of the BaNtu as the children of Israel, Zephaniah teaches us and prophesies to us and says, the children of Israel will be found beyond the rivers of Cush. Now, the question that can be asked is, where is that? According to Strong's Concordance, Cush is actually Ethiopia, and you will find that at H3568. Now, beyond the rivers of Cush, which countries do we find? We find Angola, we find Zimbabwe, we find Zambia, we find Swaziland, we find Botswana, we find Tanzania, we find Lesotho, we find Malawi, DRC, Congo, Kenya, and other Bantu lands. Now, these are the countries that are found beyond the rivers of Cush. And if you do a study of the Bantu languages, Lingala, the Kikongo, and all the different languages that are found beyond the rivers of Cush, you will also find a common element of the relativity to the Hebrew language. The common one that I've shared in my previous video is that most of these particular countries share similarly. Bana is children. In Setswana, in these countries, Bana as well refers to children. For me, this actually demonstrates that we are a common people. We are one people. Now, why do we have to treat each other differently? I've shared with you that the laws were given to us, and according to the Christ, the summary of all the law, or all the law hangs on those two laws, basically the second one being the one which is the focus of this particular video. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. Now, our neighbors are Angola, Zimbabwe, Zambia, Swaziland, Botswana, Tanzania, Lesotho, as indicated. But I think if you look at the history of South Africa in the past year or two, the xenophobic attacks against our people, our brothers and our sisters, whom the Lord has instructed us to love as we love ourselves, we have not done so. And as a result, we have transgressed the law. It is not a wonder that we are not able to get out of our situation of poverty, misery, and everything that goes with it. Now, you can go to the business tech of the 31st of May 2018. You find that we as South Africans have been to these countries, which are our neighboring states, and we have emigrated there. The top countries, which is number 6 out of 20 in the world, is Angola. Number 7 is Botswana. Number 9 is Zimbabwe. Number 12 is Swaziland. Number 15 is Mozambique. Number 17 is Malawi. Number 19 is Namibia. We have emigrated to these countries, and these countries have received us. They've given us water, they've given us food, they've given us shelter. And yet we do what we're doing to them. So it is indeed a sad day, for the BaNtu, but nevertheless, the Most High is also intervening in order to show us and those who are like-minded that we need to treat our brothers with brotherly love, and we need to treat our sisters with sisterly love. If we can do it with the Europeans, why can't we do it with our BaNtu brothers, with whom we share the same history, the same language, the same laws that were given to us by the Most High? Why can't we do it? Having said what needed to be said with regards to the earlier slides pertaining to our brothers and sisters beyond the rivers of Kush, who are the BaNtu, and also the neighboring states, the Angolas, the Tanzanias, the Zambias, the Botswanas, the Lesothos, and the Malawis, and the Namibias, the Mozambiques. Now, I want you to look at a comparison between Great Zimbabwe and BaTswana, which is in the northwest of South Africa, where the BaTswana are found. I want you to look at these two videos and compare what you see there. And then I will discuss when the videos have reached their end. This is the first video.
The Stone Kingdom, Great Zimbabwe National Monument. This historical site is surrounded by many large rocks. It's a vestige of a kingdom that once flourished in southern Africa between the 9th and 15th centuries. Zimbabwe means the House of Stone. The country was indeed named after this historical monument. The site, built of large natural stones, was a royal residence for the king. The stone wall is 7 meters high. The earthen floor and furnace remain in their original state. The Shona people founded the kingdom. They came from the Sahara Desert, migrating southwards. They finally settled and founded a stone civilization here. The site had ritual sites and cemeteries. This was also one of the important places. A shout from here would have echoed right to the bottom of the hill. It was useful for passing on messages. A town lay at the bottom of the hill. It had 6,000 houses, and at its peak, 18,000 people lived here. The kingdom was a trading stopover and became wealthy with gold mined in nearby areas. Between the town and the royal hill is a circular monument made with stone bricks. It's known as the Great Enclosure. It's believed to be either the Queen's residence or a temple. Granite blocks were cut into the same size and stacked up from the ground. There are no straight lines or right angles. It was entirely built in curves. It shows that stonemasonry techniques at the time were highly developed. A conical tower stands inside. It's shaped like a granary and believed to have represented the power of the king. The descendants of the Shonas, the original people who founded the kingdom, still live in this area. The once flourishing kingdom suddenly disappeared during the 15th century. However, the Shona people who founded the kingdom continue to recount their glorious days in song.
Now let us watch the second video of BaTswana in the northwest, where the BaTswana live.
fa ke fonne Senosiane la teng ke poleke ya gagwe na nna le morafa a gagwe teng fa poleke yotlhe and then fa ke fonne ra konomaka teng phisinyana ye go na le ka ko morago ke kore sa konomakang teng ka kwa fa ke fonne re batla go bontsha batho fela gore re konomakile go ntse jang re ka ba bontsha eng.
BaTswana was ruins where Tswana people lived a long time ago. This was documented by Mr. Campbell, a reverend, who came as a missionary to the area. And on his documentation, he came to the area around 1820. And that was when the area was first documented on paper.
Batho ne ba bantsi mo o ka re 1000 2000 how is
ya go bontsha gore ne ba feta 2000 ka mokgwa ke bona
ka kampo 10000
ya ka gore ga se fa fela ga se tikologo re le mo go yone fela le ka fa le go gore fa ke fo go bontshang fela gore konomakileng teng gore go ka go ne go le batho mare jaanong go ya ka kwa go sampo go le ko pele go ne ba le bantsi thata ka mokgwa ke bona ke nkgwana ga ke itse gore a ne e beela metsi ore mabele jalo jalo go tsanne ba dira albeitere ba mabele mo ore nkgwana ya metsi e tshala metsi ore bojalwa ga ke itse fo
According to the professors from UNISA, this is the best preserved spade in South Africa at this moment. They only have one that is still halfway, and this one is still complete. A little bit of rusty on the side, but basically it's still complete. There's about 22 furnaces where they melted the iron all around the dust copy complex. Visible facts still, flux and everything still visible, and there's even still one furnace that's was excavated due to warthogs and stuff, maybe smelling something there, and it's still visible as we speak now. This is also equipment that they use, carving wood. These ones here is, according to archaeologists, this is sweat scrapers. The tradesmen from England would have been astonished to see what these people could do, making spears and spades and so forth, beads and weapons and you name it. They could do anything in the bush with basically just their hands and pieces of rocks.
jaanong sena ke gang e welelang ko tlase go ya ko tselenyaneng ele go elela kwa tlase kwa basadi ba go ira di-claypoto banna ba go ira dipetlwana di-easter smelt ne ba tsamaya ka tsela ya gape ba boa jana ne ba berekisa ditshipi thata ka gore go bontsha le jang monne ba di betla teng ba di smeltisa gore le manyala a teng jaaka nne tshipi smelter go tswa manyala le go a bontsha gore go fonna go bereka batho go bontsha gore ne ba bura ka tshipi fela ka gore temo yone ga go bontshe gore ne ba lema ka gore go dikhwiti jaanong go bontsha bala gore ne ba dira di-claypoto le go smeltisa tshipi.
ha ba bona dilo yana bona ba reng
ba bona gore go mosola mo go bona ka gore ba kereya history bontlha bongwe jonne ba sa botlhaloganye jaanong ke history ya e ba ithutetseng yone go gore ke history ya tlholego.
Now, having watched these two videos, you are in a position to be able to enter into a discussion or some kind of a comparison between the two states or the two areas, one in Great Zimbabwe and the other one being in BaTswana in the northwest. The first thing that I've been able to observe that I think needs to be shared is that these two places are basically places for royalty. The second is that when you look at the rocks and the stones, the setting thereof, and the building techniques that have been used, these were very extraordinary. And you know, if you look at the Great Zimbabwe one, with the curving and the curves around the wall, you can see a high technical ability as compared when you compare it to the one for Haditsweni, even though there are actually high levels of similarities between the two in terms of the patterns that have been utilized and the technique that has been utilized to set up the stones accordingly. The other commonality that I think can also be picked up from these two videos is the fact that these are BaNtu people. BaNtu people, as per my previous videos, share common ancestry. They share common history. Furthermore, the dancing that is seen in the two videos, when you observe it, you find that, albeit that in the first video of the Great Zimbabwe, we're talking about the elderly, you know, a more older, an older group of dancers compared to the one of Haditsweni, which is a younger group of dancers. The dance moves and the movement of the feet is the same. It's very similar in a way. Now, these are the two areas, Haditsweni in the northwest South Africa and the Great Zimbabwe, where you find that the BaNtu have commonalities. Now, having said what needed to be said with regards to our brothers and sisters beyond the rivers of Kush, and how it is very necessary that we love them as we love ourselves, as per the commandments of the Most High, and the fact that the Most High has promised to give us blessings if we obey His commandments. This is what Isaiah has to say with regards to the ruins of Haditsweni and also the Great Zimbabwe, where we find our people, the BaNtus, living and having lived. But of course, because of the curses that we have, all this has been destroyed. There is nevertheless hope, because in Isaiah 58 verse 12, the Most High talks to His children and says, "Those from among you will rebuild the ancient ruins. You will raise up the age-old foundations, and you will be called the repairer of the breach, the restorer of the streets in which to dwell." Now that is the promise that the Most High has been able to give to His children, the children of Israel, whom He promised to be able to bless if they keep His commandments and turn towards Him. Now, of course, the Most High in the Old Testament made a promise to our father Abraham, our father Isaac, and our father Jacob, that if we keep His commandments, He will bless us. And His promise is that we're not going to be the tail anymore, but we're going to be the head. This was referring to the authority that He was going to give to us in the new kingdom of heaven, which the Father promised to our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Yohane in Revelation 21, verse 1, prophesied and said, "Now I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth had passed away. Also there was no more sea. Then I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people. God himself will be with them and be their God, and God will wipe away every tear from their eyes. There shall be no more death, nor sorrow, nor crying. There shall be no more pain, for the former things have passed away. Now, what the Father has consistently been saying in the Old Testament and in the New Testament is that we don't turn our backs on him. We keep his commandments, and we believe in his Son, who has died for us, so that whoever believes in him should not die, but should be able to enjoy the new kingdom of heaven, the new Jerusalem that he promised to his children, our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Please subscribe and please share the videos. Thank you so much.